Hello, welcome to the Mediabox. I'm joined by Bernd Voehringer. Great to have you. Thank you so much for joining me on the Mediabox studio. So you were a co-rapporteur observing the local and regional democracy in Georgia. You went on a high-stakes visit there in February. Tell us what you found during that visit.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. Indeed, I was there together with the president and my colleague, president of a regional chamber. It was a high-level visit because we have a very difficult situation there in Georgia after the last elections. The situation worsened. There was really high tension, a climate of high tension. And I think what's one of the most problematic points, in my opinion, is there is no dialogue in the society. So this is really a strong conflict. We also see violence in the country. We see a violation of human rights and the overall situation. If you look back to Reykjavik, the country is they reaffirmed our values, democracy, rule of law and human rights, and we see the worsening of the situation. So there's a lot of pressure on, that's our topic, a lot of pressure on the local authorities. We see, for example, that there's at the moment almost no participation of the opposition in the political process. There's a strong majority, there's even a change in the laws, and even the laws for election have been changed for many times just before elections, so it makes things complicated. And there are many more details. I don't want to go into all the details, but this shows a little bit the overall situation. So no dialogue. Also, civil participation is complicated. And in the end, we have demonstrations. People, civil society is active. They have demonstration. And we also see a lot of violence, also police violence in this demonstration. So I think this is a decisive point for Georgia at the moment.
Well, we have some local elections planned for October of 2025. Do you think there are the right conditions right now for those elections to take place correctly? And what sort of recommendations are the Congress making for those elections?
Yeah, that was one point where we had a very intensive discussion about this point. To be honest, we would have proposed to postpone the elections because we don't think we have the conditions at the moment, but it's not possible due to the constitution, only if there would be a martial law. And so that's why we call on the authorities to establish the conditions for the local elections, that they can be done in a climate of in a real democratic climate, in a climate of dialogue, to involve opposition. Especially, it's also a question to involve opposition. It's about election standards, electoral commission, and all these things. And also especially to have a possibility to participate in political life. This means a fair share in media, and for example, we have also a dismissal of members of administration of local authorities. There's a lot of pressure in the society, a lot of pressure of a governing party, and we call on the authorities to go back to democratic standards, to go back to rule of law and the human rights. And just to give you one example concerning again the pressure, we had also discussion with human rights ombudsman, and as we see a lot of this police violence, he said, okay, there is a lot of violence, and we asked him, okay, what about it? Yeah, okay, yeah, but it's under investigation. Yeah? But there was no decision of a court, for example. So this is still it's a climate of very difficult climate of pressure, and so we need democratic standards. We need a real opportunity for opposition, for civil society to participate. And I think I would personally be happy if Georgia decides to go back on a democratic way, the way of rule of law and the way of respecting human rights.
But thank you so much for all the findings that you laid out there. Thanks so much for joining us on the Mediabox today.
Thank you.